Today we've got two pretty powerful duos going at it. Godzilla and Kong taking on Omni-Man and Invincible. So who wins? Well, let's get to it. Now, starting out, just to clarify, we're using Godzilla and Kong from the MonsterVerse, while Invincible and Omni-Man are coming out of the Amazon TV show, so no comics. And with that being said, which team is packing more power here? Who's going to be stronger? Well, when you're looking at Omni-Man, there's some pretty obvious big feats. For starters, in his fight against Invincible, Omni-Man was punching Mark so hard that he was shaking entire mountains, and doing this repeatedly. In fact, Omni-Man was sending Mark flying all over the planet, causing earthquakes each time that he landed. And that was against his own son. He was holding back there. Then there's also the time where Omni-Man claimed that he managed to stop an asteroid the size of Texas. Just think about that for a second. The size of Texas. That's a planet-destroying extinction level event right there. That would be about 7 billion metric tons of meteor he had to stop, not even taking into account acceleration or anything like that. Omni-Man is definitely one of the strongest, most powerful Viltrumites out there. And then Invincible is pretty strong too, and he basically has baby versions of both those feats. He stopped an asteroid from coming in and destroying a country on Earth, stopping it cold, threw it back into space. And even if you don't want to count his fight against Omni-Man as actually a true fight, he did fight against Thula. And when he finally stopped holding back and started fighting like his life actually depended on it, well, he was able to hold his own against Thula, a pretty powerful Viltrumite warrior. Yeah, he's still been rocked by Omni-Man and Anissa, so he's still got a ways to go before facing off against Viltrumite elites. But baby steps. It was at least impressive enough that the Viltrum Empire took notice and decided that the fight meant Mark was worthy of his Viltrumite heritage and would take his dad's place with conquering the Earth. But then there's Godzilla and Kong, and these titans are seriously powerful. Like, as for Godzilla, well, there's pretty much no other Alpha Titan that can stand up to him. Godzilla's been able to fight against and kill the two Mutos. He's fought against and beaten Kong. He's fought against King Ghidorah. Pretty much no one can stand up against him. And those are all some really serious monsters too, and they weigh a whole lot. The female Muto weighs 76,000 tons. Kong is 93,000 tons. He's 160,000 tons in the new movie, and King Ghidorah weighs 140,000 tons. So when Godzilla is just throwing these guys around with ease and decking them with attacks, well, you gotta factor that in. Godzilla is insanely strong, but yet he's easily overpowered all these titans. Easily fought against Shimo too in the new movie, and some of these monsters are seen creating country-sized earthquakes. And of course, that's not even mentioning the smaller stuff, like Godzilla walking through skyscrapers and leveling cities during his fight. All that is just a given. He's ridiculously strong. And yet Kong can directly match him. And I mean that very, very literally. Godzilla and Kong have fought each other several times. And their first fight was definitely in Godzilla's element in the water. So Kong had to use destroyers and aircraft carriers, basically footholds, in order to fight back. But Godzilla got him under the water, he tried to drown him, and Kong is able to strangle him right back, using his strength to almost outmuscle Godzilla under the water. Pretty good showing to start out with. Then there was his second fight. This fight actually starts at sunset in Hong Kong, doesn't let up until dawn. So they're fighting for like 12 hours here. And it is a hard fought fight. And even if Godzilla technically won by the end, Kong definitely got his hits in. Look at this. You can't tell me that Godzilla wasn't feeling each and every one of those punches that Kong was sending his way. Not even to mention, they were destroying like all of Hong Kong while they were at it. Even in their third brief fight, when Kong didn't really want to fight Godzilla, and Godzilla was legit trying to kill Kong, well, Kong is strong enough to actually knock Godzilla out. You should be able to scale Kong pretty directly to Godzilla, even if Godzilla does take the edge. And so, all in all, you gotta give the edge here to Godzilla and Kong. You can argue that Omni-Man is on par with them when it comes to strength, but Invincible just clearly isn't on that same tier yet, and he's going to bring his team down a bit here. But then what about durability? And again, it's something that Viltrumites are great at, and Omni-Man is one of the best of all of them. He's been pretty much unaffected by any attacks from Immortal. He was unaffected by any of the attacks from Invincible during their first fight. And in fact, Omni-Man has regularly been able to take attacks from all sorts of different Viltrumites, not really gone down or been all that injured. He's taken massive nuclear lasers, survived it completely unscathed, even taking nukes at point blank range, not even being slowed down. And while Invincible might not be up to taking nukes just yet, he's still insanely tough. Like, even just surviving the fight against Omni-Man is one of the best durability feats you're ever gonna see. Omni-Man was literally punching him all the way around the planet during that fight. That's absolutely crazy. He was hitting him so hard that he was unleashing earthquakes and shaking mountains. Mark took it all. That's actually pretty consistent for him, because other Viltrumites have been able to do some similar stuff, and Invincible is still able to hang in there and take it. His durability is nothing to scoff at. But as for Godzilla and Kong, well, like we said, Godzilla has gotten into his fair share of fights against other titans throughout the years. Everyone just seems to be gunning for that crown. They've all definitely got their hits in. I mean, just look at King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah nearly killed Godzilla. He straight up dropped him from near orbit, and yet Godzilla still survived. And then there's Kong. For as powerful as Kong is, well, Godzilla was basically toying with him the entire time. Same with Shimo. Shimo is one of the most powerful titans ever. She was the original Alpha Titan. Godzilla can shrug off her attacks like it's nothing. That's seriously not all either. Godzilla is regularly surviving nuclear bombs. Some pretty massive nuclear bombs at that. Then there's the Oxygen Destroyer too. Godzilla took it directly on the head. And last but not least, the Permian Impact, a straight up extinction level event. Killed 90% of all the life on the planet. Godzilla just took it and kept on swimming. Basically, Godzilla's operating on a straight up insane level here. He's nearly impossible to hurt, much less put down for good. And as for Kong, well, again, we can turn back to his fights with Godzilla. Because Kong isn't just able to dish it out, Kong also has to take it from Godzilla. I mean, remember, that fight in Hong Kong went over a 12-hour span. Kong took plenty of attacks from Godzilla throughout it. And I mean, Godzilla did end up winning too, so eventually Kong was beaten here, now to be revived to get back into the land of the living. Yeah, the guy died, so his durability has its limits. But it requires a 12-hour fight with the literal king of the monsters to beat you, then I'm not necessarily going to hold that against you. You're pretty freaking tough. Now, durability here is a bit closer just because Invincible is freaking tough, but a lot of that toughness comes from just him being treated like a human punching bag. Not really that useful in a fight, when you're just getting absolutely wailed on. Kong is the weaker one of the Titan duo, but he's still able to take attacks on par with what Omni-Man was dishing out and keep on fighting. So you gotta give the edge to the Monsterverse here. Now, the biggest advantage for Omni-Man and Invincible is definitely speed, because Omni-Man, like all other Viltrumites, has the ability to move well above the speed of light. He was able to slaughter all the Guardians of the Globe in just moments, despite having a super speedster of their own in Red Rush. He's much faster than Invincible during their first fight too. Invincible is legitimately moving in slow motion, and he's much faster than other Viltrumites as well. Then even just simply flying around, Nolan is much faster than the speed of light. When he left Earth, he decided to travel to another planet with life. That journey took him about a week, but not just any planet, but a planet in the Virgo supercluster, which is 65 million light years away from the Earth. He traveled that span in just about a week, making him massively faster than the speed of light, no questions asked. And while Invincible isn't quite as fast as his dad, no doubt about it, he is much faster than both Godzilla and Kong. No doubt about that one. And all of these powers, their strength, speed, even durability, all of its best put on display when Omni-Man decided to completely and utterly destroy the Flaxan Empire. And I do mean completely destroy it. He flew through a continent-sized city fast enough to where he was literally causing nuclear-level destruction as he flew around, and sending the entire planet back to the Stone Age. But then, while that's Omni-Man at his best, well, he's also kinda got some weird, random low showings too, like being injured by Red Rush or being put into a coma by the Immortal and War Woman. He's tough enough to fly through solid metal fast enough to ignite the atmosphere, or take nukes point blank, but then was pretty quickly and easily knocked out by a small kaiju monster. So just some weird low showings. But both Godzilla and Kong have those too, so can't necessarily hold that against him. What starts throwing it in the Titans' favor though, is really two things. One, both Titans seriously upgraded in the latest movie, and this new iteration of Big G is seriously more powerful. Just from absorbing the radiation and energy from the French nuclear power plant, well, that version of Godzilla was compared to the burning Godzilla that we saw in Boston, except a safer and more stable form. Then Godzilla upgraded again, so now he's said to have doubled in combat power from his prior form, and his energy capacity is 20 times greater than it used to be at his peak. When he's unleashing attacks, well, it's the strongest energy readings that anyone had ever seen. So yeah, he's seriously upgraded, and so did Kong. He's not just got his axe now, but the Beast Glove. A glove that can punch with the power of meteors, send out earthquakes, is actually able to knock out the evolved form of Godzilla. So for everything that we've said about Godzilla and Kong, they're even more powerful now. But probably the bigger thing is just that this is a 2v1 at its core. Invincible is going to get more powerful as the show goes on, but right now he's getting trounced by other Viltrumites. This is regularly happening, and you have to be a Viltrumite on at least Omni-Man's level to even think about contending with Godzilla and Kong. These guys are country level to possibly even continental level at best. It's really just going to take one good atomic blast from Godzilla to put Invincible out of the fight. And Godzilla definitely has that in him. From there, well, you're asking Omni-Man to beat both Godzilla and Kong. And that's just not a fair fight. Omni-Man might be powerful, but I don't think he has that one. Godzilla and Kong are winning here. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.